Martin, thank you so much for joining us today, my brother.
It's a pleasure, yeah.
I'm so pleased that you've come. I had Colin on the other day, and it's just to talk a little bit about your policing life, because people are interested, brother. You know, you get ex-gangsters talking to other ex-gangsters, you know, reformed characters, but nobody really gets to know about, you know, the police and the timeline and what they've been through. And I thought, well, hold on a minute, we've got one ex-popo, we'll talk to another, and we'll do it that way. Martin, so first of all, I want to know is what made you want to join the police, if you can talk us through that.
Good grief. I think it stems from a schoolyard, probably when I was about 5 or 6.
No.
Yeah, we used to play cops and robbers.
Right.
We used to run round at break time and all the rest of it. And it went all the way through that. I think you can sort of tell at an early age what your career path's going to be if you're lucky enough to follow it.
Yeah.
As time went on, I got to about 12-year-old, and I got interested in the Navy, so I ended up joining the Sea Cadets at Huddersfield, and that I sort of pushed that.
So did you think that was going to be your career? You were going to, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I joined the Navy at 16. I left home, joined the Navy at 16. I went halfway around the world. I went to America a couple of times and all the rest of it. And then I got to...
And what year was that, Mark?
That was... the first time I worked was 1976.
Wow.
On HMS Ark Royal, a big old aircraft carrier. I did 2 trips on the Ark, 76 and 78. And then when we came back to UK, and then ended up working at other places, communications.
Still for the Navy?
Still for the Navy, yeah. And then I got to, I think it was about 21, 22, and I thought, I think I could do something else with my life now. Which you do, you get to that age and you think, oh, yeah, I could do better outside.
You're still growing as well, aren't you?
Oh, yeah. Looking back, I should have stayed in. So I left the Navy in 1980 after doing 6 years, 20 days, 4 hours.
Did you really?
Yeah.
And how long, is it like a time period you must stay in the Navy before you can go?
Initially, you could sign for 3 years or 9 years. I signed for 9, but I put an option in to leave.
Right, okay.
Which is a bit of a crazy thing to do, really.
Yeah.
I left the Navy and ended up doing all sorts of silly jobs, you know, labouring. I ended up doing like security work and, you know, that sort of stuff. And then I think it must have been about 86. I was a postman, I did all sorts of crazy things, yeah. And then I got to about 1985, 86, and I thought, I really want to be in police. And I thought, it's what I wanted to do initially.
Yeah.
So I applied to join. There were a bit of a waiting list. So I went in the specials. I did 12 months in the specials from 1986 to 87. And then the 1st of June, 87, there were some massive recruitments. They took like 40 of us on all at once.
That's a big cohort, that, isn't it?
And then a couple of months later, they took another 40 on.
Right.
Because they're really, really short of police officers then. So luckily I got in. I never sort of looked back, and it was just...
And did you get in first time when you...
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I had applied before, and when I left the Navy, I applied for the Met, I applied for other forces. But at the time, and it's similar now, they're only taking university graduates because they'd cut back on recruiting.
Right.
So I thought, I'll leave it a few years. So I did other jobs, and then I came back to it. And then I got in at West Yorkshire.
Now, the application process, because it's changed over time with the fitness side.
Yeah.
What fitness did you do compared to what others do now?
In between joining, I ended up in the TA as well. In 1983, I joined the Territorial Army, and I threw everything into that. I sort of... The fitness, you had to be reasonably fit. You had to do a yearly fitness test.
For TA?
For TA.
Right.
So, we're doing running in boots and packs on your back and all the rest of it. So I was doing my route in the post office, then finishing, say, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And then I was going for like a 7-mile run all round Shibden and Queensbury and all the way back again and up relearn.
You think you'd have enough from walking if you were on deliveries?
So I was really quite fit. I was really quite a good runner. For my TA test, I was coming like second and third out of 30 odd when we went for the TA tests. So when I went to join the police, I just breezed around. It just made it so easy. Looking back at the tests that they did then, obviously they were running, there were other fitness tests, press ups, sit ups, and all the rest of it. It was, looking back, it probably is a bit hard to the people that's joining nowadays,
because they don't have to do the running now. They do like that shuttle run, which is the bleed test.
Yeah.
And it's 3 point something. So I think it's only like a couple of minutes you do it, and you start off like a really fast walk, don't you?
We did. I think we did some bleed tests, and it didn't really faze me. I just thought it's just running around in the gym. It didn't really bother me. We did the armed combat bit, the self-defence thing. That I thought that was quite easy because I'd done judo and other bits and pieces of karate and Tansudo, which is I think it's a Korean one. So that I thought that was quite easy. But yeah, I enjoyed the training because it was 10 weeks away.
So where was it residential, and where did you go? Did you end up going like Durham or Bruges or where?
I went to Bruges, which is just over the border it's in Cheshire, Warrington. Yeah, and an ex-RAF camp, and it was a lovely spot. It had lakes with goldfish and everything, carpet.
Really?
Yeah. I thought it was like a holiday camp compared to some of the places I've been.
Yeah.
So I quite enjoyed that. I did 10 weeks there.
Did you have to learn any definitions of memory and stuff?
Yeah, we had to do all that. We did homework. You got weekends off. You weren't allowed out at camp during the week, but they let you out on a Friday, and basically you used to take dummy exam papers home.
Yeah.
And I used to just sit and do those. And it's more technique, I think, than anything else. It's multi-choice, as it is, I think, now. And it would just... there's obviously one right answer, one that maybe, and the other two were just...
ridiculous.
Yeah. So it was more of a technique than...
Right.
You need the knowledge there in the first place, but I think it was the technique. You look for the... And
there's also like a certain word within the question that you have to pick up, either like public, private. There's always that little bit of something that makes it difference.
It is testing your knowledge, but like I say, it's more. I found it more technique than anything else. With the exams I did in the Navy and at school and stuff, it was you had to physically write it all down with. So I found that it was just like doing a quiz, really.
Now, brother, that was so many years ago, right? Would you know any definition for any offence?
Oh, great. You put me on the spot there. Great.
Let's start with theft.
Whoa. I'm sorry, it's gone blank.
Dishonestly appropriate property belonging to another with the intention of
permanent deprivation.
Because we had to memorise them as well, brother, and there was, and you're kind of put on the spot because you're in classroom. And then you thought, oh man, I need to know this. And there was only like a handful you had to remember.
Yeah.
And then after you finished there, where did you get posted?
I got sent to Sorby Bridge, Sorby Bridge Police Station, which were part of Sorby Bridge subdivision. What it was, because I'd been a special at Halifax, they didn't want me going back to Halifax.
Right.
And I was a bit cheesed off at first. Bloody hell, I know Halifax, I know the area, I know the people. And
was it all still under as Calderdale?
Yeah, it was all, right. But they had subdivisions. Yeah. So they sent me down to Sorby Bridge, which I was a bit cheesed off with. But when I got there, it was a lovely place, and I thought you're working in smaller teams.
Yeah.
And the good thing about working in a smaller place like that, they sent you for a driving permit a lot quicker than they would if you're working in a bigger team in Halifax.
Yeah, I think it's about 18 months or something before they would send you off, you know, for one. So
yeah,
was it a lot quicker then?
Yeah, because you need a permit.
Yeah,
I mean, once you've got your tutorships out of the way, you're out on your own. Ridge is only a small town, so within an hour you could be around the place, and you weren't really much use as a resource because you didn't have a permit. So really, you're relying on other colleagues to take you to jobs.
Yeah.
So I think that was the idea. They got you through. They sent you on a driving course, and you know.
And let's talk about the uniform, brother.
Yeah.
So what? Because it's changed to what it is now. Talk us through what clothing you had for your uniform and what equipment you had as PPE.
We were issued with the helmet, West Yorkshire Police helmet. You had
but it wasn't those flat caps, was it, brother?
Oh no,
it was
a proper big heavy helmet.
You could keep your fish and chips in.
Yeah, we did. Yeah. We had blue shirts.
Okay.
We had black, like knitted ties, the clip-on ties, but they weren't like a silky thing that they are. Well, they were. Yeah. They were like a knitted one.
Yeah.
Blue shirts, which I much preferred the blue shirts. We had navy blue trousers, a navy blue tunic with the silver buttons.
So you had like a proper tunic?
Proper tunic, yeah. You look like, at the start of a shift, it was like a proper parade. Your boots had to be polished, and then you had a truncheon and just a pair of cuffs.
So not a baton, not a retractable one.
No,
it was just
like just like a piece of wood. Well, like that.
Oh yeah, look at that,
yeah. Oh dear. And there's a cuff.
And am I right in thinking, brother, that in your police pants were there a special pocket for the truncheon to slide down?
Yeah, on the right hand side of your trousers there were like an insert inside the leg itself where the truncheon slipped in.
Yeah.
And I can always remember. I mean, we always used to wear the leather strap outside.
Just in case so you could just grab it. Yeah.
But I can remember that I can't remember which boss it was. It was some boss said, "We don't want those leather straps showing because it's a sign of aggression."
Okay.
Which I found quite hilarious years and years later when we ended up with the PR24, the
massive one,
the big cuffs, CS, and
like Judge Dredd, wasn't it?
It went from like a Victorian style policing to RoboCop overnight.
Yeah,
you know, it were a funny time, really.
Did you have you didn't have a stab vest, did you?
Yeah, no, we didn't have stab vests until we got all this new stuff. Right,
okay. And did you have one of those long capes?
No, I didn't. We were issued with it weren't Gore-Tex, it was like a nylon thin. We call them crisp packets.
Just crinkly.
They're just crinkly thing. We had one of those and a long coat, like a double-breasted greatcoat, which were absolutely tremendous in winter.
Yeah,
really nice and warm. But the uniform, like I say, it changed.
I remember speaking to a couple of bobbies who were been in service a lot longer than me, and they were saying that what they'd have to do is when they were on like a night shift, they'd have to go and like meet up with their sergeant or inspector.
Oh yeah.
Is that what you had to do as well?
What they'd do, the sergeant would ring up, or if the inspector came out, the radio through and say, "Can you meet us at such and such a spot?" And they gave you a chalk, which basically you had to take your pocketbook out, and it was just to make sure that you were up to date and everything. And they'd put a time and a date and in order. Spoke to PC Langan at such and such a time. And,
Do you think there was more officers there to be able to be a bit more proactive and talk with the community than what there is now.
Definitely. There was, let's see, this is on one shift, and we had 4 shifts running at once. At Sorbet Bridge, we had an inspector, a sergeant, 4 patrol PCs. We had his own traffic department. We had his own CID there.
That's all at Sorbet Bridge?
All at Sorbet Bridge to cover Sorbet Bridge, Ebdin and Todmorden. That was just for the patrol there were just for Sorbet Bridge. On the same shift at Ebdin Bridge, we had 2 officers working. We had a station sergeant who was the sergeant for Ebdin Bridge, and then down at Todmorden we had a sergeant and 4 and sometimes 5 on the shift. And
there would have been quite a few at Halifax, wouldn't there?
Oh yeah. I mean, if you go for the start of a shift briefing, I'd say there were 20 odd on each shift, not for just one station. That's for one shift.
That's crazy.
It's just amazing.
I remember when I was on patrol before I went into a different department, I think there would be like maybe 4 cars out, and that was it for Halifax.
Yeah.
How bad is that?
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of strain on the officers now with them. I
mean, you always look back with rose-tinted glasses, but we did have a lot more. And just as before I retired, I actually kept one of the disposition sheets. It was going back to about 89, and it showed you the officers, how many officers were working from there. You know, we had 2 double-man cars out in Sorbet Bridge. You look, town like Sorbet Bridge.
And was that at any time on earlys, lates?
Yeah, earlys, lates, and nights. It was just
crazy.
You look what there is now. Obviously, police stations have closed. I think there's just Todmorden open now. And the rest is run from Halifax.
Well, yeah, because I remember when I joined at Calderdale, so we had Halifax, we had Ovingdon, we had Sorbet Bridge, we had Hebden Bridge, we had Todmorden, and then Ovingdon went.
Yeah.
Because I remember when I did my tutorship, I did 5 weeks at Halifax, where it's more hustle and bustle, and you get the town centre, you get used to all the public order side of stuff, and then Ovingdon, where it was more the residential, dealing with burglaries, dealing with domestics and stuff. But they've all gone, and it's all finance, isn't it, brother?
Oh yeah.
It's such a shame.
Yeah, it is, and I feel sorry for the young kids running around doing the job now, because it is. There'll be still the same amount of jobs coming in.
Maybe more, brother, because like we've got social media jobs as well.
Oh yeah.
You know, that one around. Safeguarding wasn't a big thing then.
No.
You know, then imaging unit.
Yeah.
Because there wouldn't have been phones and cameras that could do stuff like they can now. You know, online grooming. There was none of that, was there?
No, there was nothing like that. It's I think the stresses of it now. I don't think I'd want to do it now.
Yeah, for sure.
We were in at a good time, looking back.
Well, you were. You were getting housing allowance and everything, brother. You were living the dream. Also, with radios, did you have the one radio or did you have the 2?
Right. We had, they were called burn depths. They were like big.
They looked like a block of like a brick, didn't they?
Yeah, they were big chunky things with, I think they had yellow batteries that we put in, and you had to charge them overnight or between shifts and stuff. They were a bit hit and miss, especially down the valley. It wasn't full radio cover. We had UHF in the car, which is like a handheld phone that were linked to the car and everything. But we had radio black spots, and especially when I after my first 2 years, the inspector called me in. He says, "Oh, Mike, can you do me a favour?" I said, "Oh." Because I thought I'd done something wrong at first. I said, "Yeah, what's wrong?" He said, "We just need somebody to work at Ebdin Bridge. It's only for 3 months. Don't worry, it's only for 3 months." Because one of the lads were having matrimonials and he didn't want to live and work in the same place. He said, "It's only for 3 months. We'll have you straight back here." I said, "Well, yeah, go on then. I'll give it a whirl." I ended up working with a super guy his nickname was Stretch. And we sort of met up the first day, and he said, "Despite what people say around here, we always double crew, because what they wanted was one out in the car, one out.
Yeah.
You know, I could drive the car, but we had a Land Rover there as well. So we were always double crewed, and it was probably the best move I ever made.
I've met Stretch really, right? And he's got like a dry sense of humour.
Yeah.
You either get him or you don't, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. It was. We had some good times. The 3 months came and went, and I just stayed there we worked together for 12 years.
Really?
Which is totally unthinkable now.
Yeah,
You'd be lucky to work with somebody for 12 years.
No, you're right.
I mean, you know, you work with somebody that long that you get to know, you know how they're going to react.
You know everything about them, don't you, brother? You know what I mean? And you know when you should take the lead or they should take, because everyone has their own strengths, don't they?
Oh, yeah. It were odd, really, because the jobs we got sent to, we never said, oh, you deal with this one and I'll deal with it next. It was like a natural sort of thing. Like one day we'd walk into a domestic or something like that, and I'd end up taking the lead, and then, you know, I might take the lead for the second one, and then Stretch and take over, and, you know, it's just, I don't know, you must pick up some sort of vibes from the people you're dealing with.
Yeah.
You know, and I think most of it, especially working in a rural area, and just talking to folk. You know, you have to have, I mean, there's big studies going into communication skills and all the rest of it, but I was lucky, really, because I didn't join until I was 29, so I'd lived a bit by then. And I think you can relate to, you've got the experience by that time, you've got married, you've got kids, you know how the world works, which I use that to my advantage.
It's interesting you're saying that, because I joined at 28, but before I joined, I worked for the probation service, I worked for the youth service and youth club at the same time, and I worked on the doors. And I think all of them played a little part. It just kind of builds your confidence. And you have your radar on quicker, and you're not looking at stuff blinkered. Do you know what I mean?
No, I mean, you go on the dreaded Facebook and you put your thoughts on there, and I've always said you should be over 20, 21, 25 to 25 before you're allowed to join the police. I'll get stung for that again. But really, you need somebody who's got a bit of nous, who's lived a bit, who's experienced life, you know, as an adult.
Well, it's like somebody coming to your house, like you're having a domestic with your partner, and you've got kids, and they might be like, you know, 17, 18, 19. But then an 18-year-old, 19-year-old coming and telling you, and you think, hold on a minute, you're the same age as my lad or my lass, you know, but, you know, it's just a little bit different, isn't it? I think there's more pros for being a bit older than what they are, you know.
I mean, at Ebden, they used to send student officers down to work with, you know, they've obviously got the 2 years in, or just under 2 years, and they send them down to work with, just to get experience of working in a rural area. And you could sort of pick up, you go to an old farmer's place who's, you know, had his sheep mauled by a dog or something, and I stepped in, like 30-odd-year-old, and then we've got a young lad or lass, and they wouldn't even give him a second look, you know. You know. And
it's the language as well. The language might be slightly different. The mannerisms, you know, they might take a little bit longer in explaining. They might want to have a brew, you know, with you first to get to it, because that's how they handle situations in business. Whereas somebody who's young in service will think, right, okay, tell me what's happened, and it might be quite regimented, right? Okay, blah blah blah. Right, this is damage to property. I'll give you a crime number.
You just it's like going to like going to Tesco's and complaining to community customer services.
No, you're right.
You know, it's all like, you know, it's all like sort of in boxes where the older you get, the more experience you get dealing with folk.
And you kind of feel like you don't have to ask permission for a bit of discretion or being able to find different ways of dealing with stuff, because ultimately you want to get the end goal. And if the end goal, whichever way it is, as long as it's lawful, then you should try. Whereas I think if you're young in service, You think, oh no, I don't want to risk that.
There's no, it's either black or white. There's no grey area in between. There's no room for negotiations. I'll tell you another thing that made me smile a bit. When I first, I joined the Navy at 16, and when I first left, I'd more or less lost my Yorkshire accent. And then when I joined police, I thought, I'm going to have to relearn Yorkshire accent.
Hey up, lad.
You know, of course, working out valid. You know, you've got to be able to communicate and have some common ground. You know,
of course, it makes a big difference, especially for people who are born and brought up then. The generations are there, and even your accent, you'd be saying, "Oh, where's this?" He kind of? There's no connection there, really. You know,
it's another bloody off Cumden that's been parachuted in. You know, we did have some lads and lasses from out of the area, you know, like down south and all the rest, who come up and work with us, and you could see who's these posh buggers coming to tell us what to do, sort of thing.
Even though the same words, if you would have said that, your accent would be fine, so they'd be all right with that.
Yeah.
Now, brother, let's go back to that uniform, right? So you had the radios. There was no parva, no sprays or anything like that.
Nothing like that.
And the cuffs, they weren't the rigid ones. They were the chain ones, the chain link ones.
Like you see on the old black and white films.
Yeah.
The uniform and the equipment that we had. I mean, even the pocketbook.
Yeah.
It's synonymous with a police officer.
Yeah.
And it's been like that. There's been very little change like that since, I'd say, Victorian times. When you look at the old photographs and pictures and drawings of the old constables, it hasn't really changed.
And did you have the muchacho like they have in the pictures?
It was, I don't know, I'd say from 70s, well, probably before then, up to the late 90s, it was still sort of the thing that male officers had moustaches, and I just sort of grew on.
And you just kept it, brother, didn't you? I've seen loads of photographs of you with your muchacho.
Yeah. But the day after I retired, my wife said, "Look, you're not in the police anymore."
So all the way through your police service, you had your muchacho, right?
Yeah. I got mistaken for Bruce Grobbelaar. We had some.
Was he the goalie?
He was a goalie for Liverpool.
Yeah.
We had some Scousers in cells at Halifax. I don't know what the hell they were doing there, but I don't think they played Halifax Town, would they? But there were half a dozen of them in Harrison Road cells.
Yeah.
And me and Stretch were down there giving meals out. I think it was during the prison officers' strike,
right?
You know, and we're dishing these meals out, and you open the hatch on the cell door, and there were half a dozen Scousers in there waiting to go to court or whatever. And then one of them barked, "Hey, it's Bruce Grobbelaar." And that sort of stuck me, and I was like, "Oh, great!" But it was just, you know.
And the cars. What was the first car that you drove in the police, brother?
It was a Ford Escort. I think was it a Mark II? It was on the later Mark II Ford Escorts.
Right.
I went, oh, great. I mean, you jump in your modern car now, it's got sat-nav and Bluetooth and every bit of kit that you can...
No winding windows now, is there?
I've looked at... Every year there's a car rally in Hebden Bridge.
Right.
And you can tell you're getting old when you look at some of the vintage cars. You think, bloody hell, I used to drive one of those. And I looked inside, and it was just like a flimsy gear stick and a choke, and you know. And I thought, bloody hell, we spent hours and hours driving around in basically what the seat was just like a bloody deck chair. It was.
And the vans, am I right in thinking, did they have the benches in them at your time or not?
Yeah. Well, there weren't much gone into to cater for what they were used for.
Yeah.
So it was Ford Transit. We never had any Mercedes. They always seemed to stick to Fords, and then they went on to Vauxhalls, and then the first sort of foreign car that they had were a Peugeot.
Yeah.
But up till then, every force, and there's 43 forces in the UK, and they all had Ford Escorts, Ford Transits.
Yeah.
But in the back, it would just they just knock these vans out, and could be a police van, it could be a baker's van, it could be a delivery van, it could be, you know, something you hired to move your house in. But there were no alterations in there at all.
And no seatbelts, brother?
No seatbelts. No.
But there would have been the law then as well to wear a seatbelt.
There was when I joined,
okay.
yeah. I mean, when I were in the specials, I think it was 85, 86, I think it was just coming in then. I might be wrong, but that's when that's when they were legally, yeah.
So your time with your tutor, talk us through that, you know, the 10 weeks, how did that go?
Yeah, it was the lad who tutored me, we both ended up at Sowerby Bridge because he worked at Ebdin, but because he was a tutor, he came down to partner up with me. And
for those that don't know, so for the first 10 weeks when you're at Bruges, or whatever, it's all more the theory and the role playing, and then when you're out there in the real world, and the tutor's role is to kind of guide you, you know, for those 10 weeks.
It was quite good. It was a lad called Phil Coyle, a smashing lad. But I think he was 2 years younger than me, and we both turned up at Sowerby Bridge, totally lost. He worked at Ebdin Bridge, and then they sent him down to Sowerby Bridge, and we had to call a local news agents and buy a map.
No.
There were no sat navs or anything like that, and there were no real mapping. When you radioed through to control, which was in Sowerby Bridge itself, there was no area control room. It was all there at Sowerby Bridge.
Right.
And you radioed through, and the lad at the other end of the radio was probably coming up for retirement, so he knew they knew the area intimately. But
they know the Ginnells and everything, wouldn't they?
Yeah, because they'd spent all their career in that area. So you knew you didn't have to rattle down on a keyboard or anything. Oh yeah, you just go dual lane, turn left, and and then it'll be Mr. So and so. But apparently now there's none of that. You know, the controllers change desks and the
area as well, brother. Like they'll cover from Dudley Hill.
Yeah.
You know, and the different. They're not used to area.
It must be frustrating, but it's what.
Well, talking about maps, brother. There was a guy called Ray who you'll know as well from Calderdale, and I remember he made this little bit of a map where, say, if you wanted to go, I don't know, to Eaton Street, on the map it'd be written right, okay, up Pelham Lane, left on Queen's Road, down here, and that was so easy for me to do. I don't know if you'd seen these maps around that he'd made.
Well, we did it. We did it for. I did it for Ebdin Bridge. We had a lad came to join us from Odsal. He'd come down to work in the valley, and he was just totally lost. And I felt sorry for the guy. So what I did, I drew a map.
Or did you do something similar?
Yeah, right. I drew a map and I said, follow the A646 Burnley Road to Eptonstall to get to Blackshaw Head, and it I think I've done it here.
What, in one of your books?
Yeah, I'm sure I did. Yeah. Oh, that's the wider map that I did.
Right.
But in one of the other books, I did one for Ebdin Bridge.
Right. Okay.
And I gave it to him, and he were with us for. I think he stayed for like 2 years. And the day he left, he gave me the map back. So basically, I kept it, and I've in book 2, which I've done. I've put it in there.
Well, because when I was with my tutor. I covered Halifax Town Centre, and specifically I covered Park Ward. Yeah. And you've got the main road, which is Queen's Road. Yeah. And he gave me a task. He said, look, you need to learn all the stems that go off the main road, because when Control call you up, they'll mention Queen's Road, and they'll mention one or two of the other roads. And the only way I could learn, brother, was through coming up with stories. Yeah. So I came up with this story, which was... Batman Hansen got his giblets and hopped along to the park, which was Batman was Pattinson, Hansen Lane, Gibbet Street, Hopwood Lane, and Parkinson Lane, and that's the only way I could remember. But it's crazy now; they'll just put it in sat nav and they'll be off, won't they?
Yeah, I used a similar method because I used to love doing intelligence reports.
I know, brother. I remember the last couple of years, me and James were like, this dude's done so many reports.
Oh, I loved it.
It used to make us look bad, brother.
Oh, God. I didn't do it because some officers used them as like petrol tokens.
Yeah,
the more
for
you
sure.
put in,
Yeah.
the more chance you've got to go to CID. I have no thoughts of going in CID or anything.
Me and James were trying to shred him before you put him in.
But what got me onto him, and I thought, it's it was Phil, my tutor, plus an ex-squaddy, an ex-soldier who'd served time out in Northern Ireland, and he said we used to always put intelligence reports in, no matter how little you thought the individual was worth. If you just put down you saw so and so, he was wearing a full description, like Adidas top, blue jeans, trainers, and what car he were in, time, date, and stuff. So I just thought it was a habit that I had, and I just kept doing it. And I just, I thought, well, it's what I'm interested in.
Well, it helped so many investigations, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because even for the person as an alibi.
Yeah.
Somebody said, "Oh, no, I was in so and so place."
Yeah.
They'll look at it, but oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Officer Martin's put this in. Yeah, I remember him being there.
And as they got a bit more soccer-wise, into crime-wise, they actually put reports out saying when you stop and chat to these people, these nominals that we know, put down what they're wearing, what shoes they have, because each one wears down a different level, a different
leaves a different sort of impression, doesn't it?
Oh yeah. So I just carried on doing that.
But brother, I hope you didn't grab him and try to lift him up like a horse and start taking photos.
Oh God, no.
Do you remember your first arrest, brother? If you can talk us through that.
Yeah. What it was. It wasn't all humorous down the valley, but I've sort of stuck to the, to the light-hearted side. The
heartbeat sort of feel.
Yeah, I like that sort of stuff. The first one we had, I was with Phil, my tutor. I ended up going to a domestic, and it were a young couple, and it were a Saturday night. They'd both been drinking. He'd had a lot to drink. There must have been a big argument. She ran out of the house barefoot, and she ran all the way through Sorby Bridge till she came to the nick. She just tapped on the side of the window where the control room was. So we went out and got a report of what had happened. Anyway, we went back to the flat where they were living, and this lad was pretending to be asleep on the settee, and he sort of jumped up, the usual sort of, it'll take more than you bastards to lock me up, and he sort of came flying towards me for some reason, and basically I just pushed him, and he just sort of, I must have pushed him a bit hard, but I thought we were a lot heavier than what he was, and he just sort of took off as though he were on the bungee rope, and he disappeared at back. He just fell. He hit the settee and just fell straight over the back. And Phil, where's he gone? It's just under there. So he was locked up for that, and he was still well pissed when we got him into cells. When the custody officer went through the usual. Do you want anybody informing? Do you want a solicitor? And I, no, I don't want a effing solicitor. Well, do you want any? Yeah, I want me nana telling. And I shouldn't have said it, but I can remember just saying it. What, do you want the duty nana, or do you want
or your own nana?
Oh, dearie me. And that was my first arrest.
Now, at that time, there was no DNA swabs, were there?
No.
There was fingerprint and photograph.
Yeah.
Now, for officers that do it, they do it all digital.
Yeah.
Can you talk us through what sort of fingerprints were then?
Great. It went back to Victorian times when they first started using fingerprints, and very little had changed for when I joined.
Yeah. Even for me as well.
Yeah. I mean, even when I retired, if we had to photograph a fingerprint somebody at Ebden Bridge, we had an old, it was a Russian camera on on a tripod, and you had to pull this thing shot up, and you had to focus in. It was just, oh God! I mean, you look at the stuff now that we've got, and it's just, you know, the DNA and fingerprints, instant. We had it were all on a sheet. You had to fill out their details. We had a brass, it was like a brass bar. You covered it in ink, and then you had to roll it so it didn't smudge, and then you had to grab each individual finger and roll that, and then roll it onto the paper. Then you had to cover their hands and roll the back on, you know, so they got a full palm print. And it was a right messy job. And
did you have that gunk next to it to kind of clean your hands and stuff?
I can remember dealing with it, because we used to deal with all the younger kids on a Saturday morning, because the parents used to come down and we used to get them interviewed on contemporaneous notes. There were no tape recorders or anything.
So there were no cassettes? No. So you had to write every question and every answer?
Yeah.
Wow.
And if you were single crewed, if you didn't have a partner with you, you were there, you know, writing down the questions, writing down his answer, and, you know, it was just so time consuming. But I can remember one young lad, we had, I finished the interview, we'd done the fingerprints, and I was moving on to the photograph, which you had to, it was like a chinograph pen, that we had to put his date, you know, date of birth, his details and everything. But the pen must have run out. So I thought, what am I going to do now? So
you were looking for a quill, were you?
I shuffled around in my pocket and got, it must have been about £1 or something like that. And I just said to the lad, look, we haven't got a pen. Can you go to Spar and get a black felt tip pen?
No, you didn't.
Yeah. He didn't even have his hands clean. So I gave him this money, and off he went to Spar, and then came back with his pen, so we just carried on doing the print.
No!
It was just, great. You know, when you look back, you wouldn't be able to do that at Halifax,
No.
It was just...
It's crazy times, though, isn't it?
Heartbeat policing.
Now, there were times where you'd have to take fingerprints by force, you know, and the thought of doing that with the ink, and it's impossible. It's so difficult to do. And so many officers had to get involved to kind of grip the limbs. Yeah. So one's got the arm, one's got the rest of the fingers, the other one's trying to...
Yeah. Impossible. Absolutely impossible.
It was horrible.
Yeah. And luckily I never had to do that. There were one or two that said, I'm not taking my fingerprints, and it was just a skill in negotiations.
For sure.
So look, if you're not going to go anyway, it gets destroyed anyway. So it was just sort of bluffing your way through and getting it done.
I remember. So just going back about uniform and stuff, like now on radios they've got the GPS and everything. They know where you are.
Yeah.
I remember years ago when we were working nights and we didn't have the GPS. And I was working with someone, and you know who you are because you'll watch this. I was working with someone all paired up, and he says to me, right, you know, we're on nights, come on, we're off. And I was like young in service, and I'm like, right, okay, where are we going? And our passenger drives off, and we end up at Siddle Cemetery. Thinking, what are we doing here? And he just looked at me and went, right, I'm going to go to sleep for half an hour. And then you wake me up, and then you go to sleep for half an hour. Oh. But that was when you had time on your hands. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And you wasn't governed by Big Brother all the time. And you couldn't do that now, could you, brother?
Oh, no. And like I said before, we're down the valley at Salisbury, and especially in Ebden Bridge, you wouldn't be able to get through to on the radio in the backyard at the Nick.
Yeah.
And there were other parts around the town centre. I can remember turning up that this lad had smashed a shop window. He was drunk and all the rest of it, and I turned up. There was a bit of a kerfuffle. He was trying to push his way out the way, and he set off and was tripped over his own feet and just landed on the pavement. And he'd split his head open. And I thought, oh, good grief, what am I going to do? Anyway, I finally got him to his feet, and I tried to radio through local lead ambulance. This lad's got a nasty gash on his head. Couldn't get through. So what I had to do was physically drag him to the other side of the street where there was an alleyway, and all he saw when we dragged it. It was just, and I thought, I know that West Bank, my radio works.
All right, for signal.
Yeah.
And he's thinking you're dragging him.
He thought I was going to drag him into alleyway and give him a good hiding. And I thought, oh, what are you doing? What are you doing? And people were coming out of the shops, and I thought, oh God. He said, what's happening? What's happening? I said, look, I'm just trying to get through on my radio, but bloody hell. It's ridiculous. I mean, it got that bad. I mean, and it just sounded a bit beatish and a bit Victorian. But we used to carry whistles in Ebden Bridge because that's probably the only way of alerting any backup with flu.
So you didn't bother with smoke signals or
semaphore flags and stuff. Yeah.
So you know when you did your 10 weeks probation and you went independent.
Yeah.
Which station did you go to, and which department did you end up, and how long did you stay there?
Like I say, I was at Sorby Bridge. I stayed there for 2 years until I did that Inspector of Favour and moved to probably the best kept secret in the West Yorkshire Police, which was Ebden Bridge.
And was that all on response you did, or?
Yeah, There were no MPT, no neighbourhood policing. We were all local bobbies.
Yeah.
And we all answered calls. It were just all part of it. You know, there were no sort of separate departments like there is now. You know, you covered the car or you covered the footbeat, and that was it. You didn't. You just took whatever were coming towards you.
And if you were to think back, brother, is there any jobs that stick in mind that were either really rewarding or scary or upsetting?
Yeah,
you can share with us.
There were quite a few.
Okay.
There's one serious accident that I sort of struggled for years afterwards. I'm not going to go into that one.
Okay.
It's a bit upsetting, but
okay.
God, there's that many, and I think that's what really inspired me to start writing these books that I've been doing. I kept notes and diaries from day one. My dad said when I first joined the Navy, he said, "Oh, why don't you keep diaries and notes of places you've been?" I was 16, 17-year-old, and all I wanted to do was never meant that. But when I joined the police, I thought, this could be.
And you kind of kept that to yourself, didn't you?
Yeah, I didn't mention it to anyone. It was just for my own sort of enjoyment, really. And then when I did start writing, I thought, because everybody's got a story to tell. You know, no matter whoever's watching this, you know, you've all got stories and tales, and that's what life is. It's the acquisition of memories and stories. And really, I thought, well, I didn't know anything about my granddad at all. He passed away. He went through the First World War. He was a reserve fireman in Liverpool and Manchester and other places. But there's nothing. It's all gone. And I thought, well, what I want to do is just, you know, write these stories, write these books for my kids and my grandkids to read through, you know. And that's how it started. And that was basically all I was doing it for. But as time's gone on, I've self-published. I put them onto Amazon Kindle, and I was just amazed when bloody surprised really that people were buying these things. And,
well, the thing is, because I've bought your books, brother, and with them, it is literally like it says, you know, notes made at the time, and you know that's what you did, and there's humour involved in it as well. You know, so the first one was called Notes Made at the Time. And when you published it, what were your thoughts? Were you thinking, "Oh, this is going to do okay," or why did you want to publish it?
What I did, obviously, I got the first book together, which covered from '87 when I joined. I've done it like 4 year gap, you know, 4 year instalment sort of thing, and I got the first one ready. My wife designed the cover, but I've got it all into book form, posted it on there, and then we cleared off to south of France for a family holiday for a week. And I thought, I don't want to you know, obviously I put it on Facebook. I haven't really advertised. I just put it on Facebook for my friends to have a look through and see. And I thought, well, I'll be away in south of France. I'm not going to, you know, if it's upset anybody, which I hope it hasn't. And, you know, the idea wasn't to, you know, upset or annoy anybody. It was just my, you know, collection of memories from the first few years at police. And
so you're away, you go to France.
Yeah, and then I think we're walking around Monte Carlo. It all sounds very...
Look at you, brother. You'd already spent it before you even sold it.
It all sounds very, you know...
very cosmopolitan, look at you.
It was just so funny. We were just walking around Monte Carlo, my phone went, and I never ever answer my phone when I'm on holiday.
Yeah.
It's usually somebody trying to sell you PPI or something.
Yeah.
But for some reason, it rung, and Sarah looked at me, and I said, well, just said, call me L. She said, oh, answer it. And I never answered it. Anyway, I answered it, and it was somebody from Radio Leeds. Or somebody said that they're from Radio Leeds. I thought, oh,
I bet you thought, hold on
this is what, somebody's taking bloody mickey. I said, yeah, of course you are. Yeah. She said, no. I said, look, I'm on holiday. I'm going to put my phone down now. No, don't put your phone down. Don't put your phone down. It's. And they said who it was, some researcher from BBC Radio Leeds. We're interested in doing an interview with you. Can you pop into the studios this Friday? I said, well, actually, I'm in south of France.
Monte Carlo.
Bloody hell. Oh, God. I said, look, I'll be back. We're coming back. I said, but the following Friday I should be okay. And that's fine. I finished the call and said, so there was that. So it's some reporter from Radio Leeds wanted to do an interview, and she cracked out laughing and thought it was somebody messing about. And I still, at the back of my mind, I thought, it's one of my mates. He's got his wife to ring up or something, you know. But when I got back, there were emails and stuff there confirming who it was from, and the following Friday I was sat in a studio in Radio Leeds.
Did that catch you off guard? Like?
And I thought, what the hell am I doing here? You know, I was sat outside the studio, and I thought, what's going on here? You know, and it's unbelievable, you know. And I went in, and we had a chat with this radio presenter, and he was asking me questions about the book and stuff, and how to tell him about the story and out of the book. And then when I came out, I thought, I still don't. I didn't believe this. But then, obviously, it was publicity, and people got hold of it, and you know, people have bought the books ever since, and I'm still sort of mesmerised what they find.
Well, can you share with us one story from the first book, if you can remember?
Right, yeah.
And then, if people who are interested in finding it, I'll put the link in the message, so it'll be on there.
There was a lad in Todmorden, and he'd been dealing in cars, especially 4x4s, and it was reported that he were running around with no documents. It was just a straight-up job. And I was driving down to Todmorden to pick I think it was a student officer up. And as I'm driving down, I went through Charlestown.
Is that near Boothtown?
No, it's out of Ebden Bridge.
Right, okay.
You've got Charlestown. Just got onto the border with Eastwood, and I saw this rickety old Series 3 Land Rover going past. It was only doing like 20 miles an hour. And as it went past, I thought, oh, that's that lad that's been mentioned on briefing. Anyway, I sort of turned round.
Did he clock you?
I think, I was in...
Yeah.
I think it must have been the Astra or something. And then I turned the vehicle round and I set off. I thought, I'm going to get him. And then I caught up with him so quickly because he was only doing like 20 miles an hour. And I'm setting, you know, the roads are so tight, you can't overtake there, you know. It's like miles and miles. It's just like a tunnel. Yeah. You just follow. I'm just following this car. I'll track radio through, and of course... And
were you single crewed?
Yeah. I tracked radio through because Charlestown and Eastwood's in the valley.
Oh, man.
Couldn't get through on UHF. And basically, I just set off, and we had sirens then, and we had the flashing lights going, and trying to get him to stop.
You had the hand signals.
And, it was just I could see straight through into Cabot, Land Rover, and F off, like this. And I thought, there's no way I can overtake him.
Yeah.
And then we came into Ebden Bridge, and we came. Oh, it was ridiculous. It was just so silly. And as we're driving through, like say we're only doing 20 mile an hour, he could not go any faster than that. And as I'm driving through, I looked at left, and there's my ex-wife and my 3 kids stood at the bus stop. And I sat and went wintered down. And she said, what are you doing? I said, I'm trying to stop this car. And we were going that slow. I had a conversation with her at the side of, what do you want for your tea? Oh, just a Cornish and chips for me tonight. But then I just carried on. And then we turned left up towards Epton Stall, and by that time the radio had come through, so I was there trying to give me a very slow commentary, like a cricket commentary. Yes, he's doing 20 miles an hour. And it carried on, and then eventually we went all through Epton Stall, which I don't know, it's all cobbles and everything. And this thing was bellowing like black smoke out the back. It was like a log burner. And I was still there behind him. And then eventually he cut off down this track. The Land Rover shuddered to a halt.
Right. And
he jumped out and said, I'll give up. And that were it. Then next thing, these cars came from a distance, and we just locked him up. Then I had to recover. We could radio through and try and get a recovery truck through. But no, he's tied up at the moment. It could be a couple of hours. And I thought, well, I've got this lad to deal with. So I jumped in this old Land Rover. Another lad took the car, and I sort of carried on at 20 miles an hour back to Todd to recover.
But that took a while to bring it back.
Good grief. I mean, it was just ridiculous, It was just...
But those are stories, aren't they, brother? That when you look back, it's funny, and you think, I can't believe that's what happened. Especially seeing your ex and your kids at the bus stop.
Yeah, and I think that's why people, I think, like the stories, because they seem so far-fetched that you could not write it, and it's just... But it was things like that I thought, well, I've got enough material there to do quite a few.
The great thing you did, Martin, was you did literally make notes at the time. Yeah. And, that's such a cool title for the book as well.
Yeah, that's another thing. As you know, when you're at court giving evidence, obviously if it's a job that you're not too familiar with, you could request the magistrate.
And they always ask you.
Yeah. Can I refer to my pocketbook, your worships? And they say, yes, officer, when were the notes made? And the reply from the officer is always, the notes were made at the time. So I thought, what a great, what a great title for a series of books. And it's just sort of gone on from there.
So once you did the first one, did you kind of wait to see how we did, or did you think, right, okay, that's the first section done of the first 4 years, I'm going to move on to the other ones regardless of how the first one went?
Yeah, I just thought, well, I've enjoyed doing that. It's. We mentioned it a couple of weeks ago that we've got this skill that we've picked up in the police of report writing, intelligence reports, detail, and doing a story. And I thought, it's a skill that we've used, and I thought I can utilise that to sort of do the stories, and see how it goes. So I got the first one out, and I was getting some good sort of feedback, and I thought it's just friends being nice. But then I started I've sold some in Australia and Canada and these other places. I thought, well, how come they... What's drawn them to this? Yeah, true. But it's a lot of them are expats who've moved out there, and they probably have relatives in police, and it's a way of sort of looking back and seeing. Well,
I remember when you did your first book, you had a book signing, brother, and I came to it, and it was like in a shop, but in the back of a shop around the corner. Was it? What sort of shop was it?
It was what it is. It's a shop called Tall Poppies.
Right.
Now Sarah's done some of her artwork in there. She's done frames for cards and all the rest of it. And I just mentioned, I said, I've done a book. I put it on Kindle, and I made enough money on Kindle to get the first book printed, because I printed it myself. It's all self-published. I haven't gone through any company or anything.
So this is all authentically you that you've done.
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't have a clue how to go about it. I've been in touch with a couple of authors that I knew, and they're just so busy. And I thought, well, didn't seem right interesting. So I thought, what do I do?
So did you do your own kind of research and just...
Yeah, basically I just Googled publishing, and then this self-publishing thing came up. You get that much information on there on the computer, and I looked. I thought, oh, what's this Kindle direct publishing? I thought, what's all that about? And I looked into it. I thought, oh, that's just ideal. Yeah. So that's how I came by that. Sarah designed the front cover. I put it on Kindle, and away it goes. And it's free. You know, if anybody else wants to do it, just do it.
Yeah.
You know, you can do any subject really, and it's just it don't cost anything. Each book you sell, they obviously take a
for sure, because they're giving a platform for you to sell it.
Yeah.
So when you sold the first, when you did the first one, you made a bit from Kindle, and then what was your thought process?
I thought, because people were saying, look, it's great having it on Kindle. Why don't you have it printed? Which is easier said than done. It does cost quite a lot, but I've made enough with the Kindle sales to get it printed. So I approached a local printer. And they said, yeah, we can knock it out. And there were it were coming up to Christmas, not last Christmas, the Christmas before, when you came to the book signing. And I thought, oh, great, is it going to be ready for Christmas sort of thing? And we got it out, got it from the printers. The day before that I was doing the book signing, so I thought, oh, God, this is going to have to work like clockwork. But luckily it came out. I went to the little shop. The setup was like a little table, and people just came in and started buying the books, you know. So,
and then what made you go on to do the second one? Was it just a natural progression?
Yeah, once I'd got the first one out, within a week, I started typing up the second one. For the first, I think for the first three, it was easy because I'd typed them all up years and years ago, and then I'd basically just put them on Microsoft Word, adjusting and editing it myself, and I just sort of carried on from there.
And what are we up to now? How many have you got?
I'm on to my 7th book now.
Wow.
It's bloody hard work, but it takes over your life, and you just... I read somewhere that, these accomplished, famous authors, they say that you never ever finish your book, because every time I go back, once I've got it on there, I don't like rereading it, because I think, I should have done this.
Yeah.
I thought you're never going to get finished if you just keep going back over the same stuff. I mean, it is a long process, and it's a bloody headache.
I'm sure it is, but I'm sure it's rewarding as well.
Oh yeah, if I didn't enjoy doing it, I wouldn't do it.
And like you said, it's memories for your children, for their children to look back where you didn't have with your grandpops. You know what I mean? That's
the reason why I did it.
Yeah, you've got that there.
It's there. It's there for them to to look back and see what the crazy granddad did.
Now I remember we worked together on a team. As part of Prevent, we were there. That was some fun times.
Great.
So the different departments. So you've done response. Then did you do neighbourhood policing as well?
Yeah, we did. When neighbourhood policing came in, I was actually community constable down at Todmorden.
Right.
Excuse me. And it's sent like 3 PCSOs, police community support workers, officers, to work with us, and that's when it started. They ended up doing the stuff I enjoyed doing,
right? Which
was the patrolling and meeting people. We got more involved in antisocial behaviour. I had quite 2 or 3 high-profile cases of ASBOs and Harassment Act.
Yeah. And so you were kind of becoming more of like an investigator than engaging with community.
I mean, it was good, but I'd say one particular case which I I think it's still running, so I won't mention that, but I'd say 85% of my time was spent in the office, typing up reports, taking statements from different witnesses and stuff, which it wasn't really what I enjoyed doing. I like to be out there speaking to people and, getting yourself...
so what did you do then? What did you apply for and how did that go?
Basically, I'd been awarded, I think it was Excel award for work in the community, because I got involved with the mosque. We've only got one mosque in Tottenham.
Sure.
And I got involved with the mosque and I started doing monthly surgeries after prayers on a Friday. It took a while to get in because you've got to build up confidence. You can't just parachute in there and, there was this spy coming into... And that's, as daft as it sounds, that's what it felt. That's probably what it felt like to the guys in the mosque. But, luckily, as time went on, we built up friendships, we built up confidences. They had my mobile number, and we got some good sort of liaison work going. And I was ended up going to a big hall in Leeds for this Excel Awards. And me and Sarah sat there. And,
did you have your tunic, brother?
Oh yeah, we were all there. And we sat there, and there were sort of different nominations from all around the force for work in the community and diversity and all the rest of it. And I just sort of sat there eating I don't know what it was, steak and kidney pie or something. And then so right, we're going on to the awards now. And I think there was an inspector there who was a karate instructor who got kids off the street. And I thought, that's good work, is that? And then there were a female, they all seemed to be inspectors and things. And she'd been doing some good work with women's groups. And I thought, oh yeah, that's really good. I didn't think for 1 minute. I thought I was just also ran sort of thing. I'd be there just to
enjoy the steak and kidney pie.
So we came to awards, and it was I can't remember who did it. It was 2 BBC presenters who were
really
Harry Gratian and what's that lady called? Anyway, she was there. And then the Chief Constable came on, and he said, right, it was like a big, and now, I thought, oh God, the award for community, work in the community goes to PC Langan. And I just, what? I was just absolutely mesmerised. I thought, what the hell's this? And I looked at Sarah, and she just,
you better get up.
You better get a move on. And I went up, and I sort of floated onto the stage and shook hands with Chief and all the rest. And he gave us this like a framed certificate and a glass thing. Anyway, I was still shaking my head, and people were clapping, and and I thought, I just don't believe this. But because I'd got that, I thought that was the end of it. But they said, right, whoever's the winner of each force area goes down to the National Police Awards in London.
Right, okay.
So I went down there, all expenses paid in the Park Lane Hilton. Me and Sarah were there.
Dream,
and I thought, I just don't believe this. This ain't happening, And we were there, and I was mixing with lads from different forces. The lads and lasses from the PSNI in Northern Ireland, and I thought, bloody hell, now they have got some work cut out for them there, between the communities that has been sort of falling out for over 300 years, and to get some form of cohesion going there, I thought they deserve.
It's an uphill battle, is that?
I didn't win the top award, but I was just so chuffed to be there. It was just piece from Hebden Bridge or Todmorden, I thought it's just it was just sort of unbelievable, really. We came back with some more award things, And then the following day, we booked into Langan's restaurant, which
look at you, you're going large now, aren't you? Monte Carlo, Langan's restaurant.
And I don't know if you're aware of Langan's, but it's where all the journalists go. And it's quite a famous restaurant. It's Michael Caine and
really,
he was sort of he set it all up. But I was sat there in Langan's restaurant. I thought, I just don't believe this at all. I thought, anyway, we paid by cheque, and this lass came and took the cheque, and I thought, she's going to make a big song and dance. All right, thank you very much. And off she went. And I thought, I could at least have said, oh dear.
And then, so then did you, after that, where did you apply then? Did you go for Prevent or something else before that?
There'd been changes in MPT, and I ended up back at Ebden Bridge. And I was working with PCSOs there and some other colleagues. And then this job at Prevent came up. I'd only got 3 years service left to do by that time. And I put in for it. I thought, well, it's doing what I've been doing and what I enjoy doing, out there meeting people and, getting... And basically, I came down to see you and James in the office, and you said, mention Operation Lightning. I'll mention blah, 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 and all these other. Anyway, I went in for an interview, and she said, "Can you tell me a bit about Prevent?" And I just sort of pressed play what you told me. And she said, we'll let you know how you've gone on. Can you just wait outside? Anyway, I think they interviewed somebody else, or anyway, they called me back in and said, we're pleased to say that you can start with us. So, and that's how we ended up working together.
Yeah, and it was a cool role, wasn't it? It was good. Amazing. It was that engagement. That's what it was. Yeah. Building the relationships. Yeah. Because you was a community bobby. I used to be community bobby for Boothtown. Yeah. So it stands you in good stead, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely did help. And I think it's jobs like that. You've either got the knack of talking to people or you haven't. And I think it did show through. Not just because I got the awards and stuff, but because I was still doing. Even though I was MPT at Hebden Bridge, I was still engaging with the mosque at Todd. They wanted that to carry on, and I think that was probably the main sort of thing that I got in the Prevent. Because I was still doing the work there.
Definitely. And then when you were going, because you kind of then handed over to us for the tournament and was it Mr. Nadeem? And engaging with him. So that was really cool.
Yeah. What I wanted really was, I mean, you've got your work at Halifax and James, and I wanted somebody from Todd who could step in, and I suggested, I said, look, I'm leaving in 6 months' time. Can we get somebody from MPT or somebody local to
do some sort of handover and just kind of get them embedded?
Just follow me around and I can pass all this knowledge, all this local knowledge.
And it's a recognised face as well. Oh, that's the person who came with mine.
You can't. Luckily, we did that. It did work after I'd gone. But I thought all that knowledge and all that experience I could have passed on to somebody local, which they didn't seem right bothered about really.
Maybe that wasn't the thing that they were focused on at that time, and they were thinking of other stuff,
But I have since spoke to lads who I knew from the mosque, and they said, there were great times, and there were anything at all. But what I did, it weren't all police. I think they got a bit. You can get bored listening to the same old crime figures.
You're kind of regurgitating it again, aren't you?
There's been more break-ins, there's been more sat-nav stolen. But what I did, I thought, I'll get guest speakers to come in. And it took a lot of heat off me. And what I did, I got people from parking services, environmental health.
That's brilliant. So they can ask them the questions. Right, that's a good idea.
So I sort of got them involved. We got Todd News involved, and anything that Nadeem had set up, we got some good publicity for, so.
And then what year did you retire, brother?
I finished the 6th of February 2013. But I actually finished on... I always laugh about this. I finished in December because I had some leave due. And I can remember the last day because I went up and I met with you. And I had to go in and drop my ID card up, drop my warrant card off at admin. And I thought, oh, they're going to be when you take your... I thought it was like a formal ceremony, this kind of thing. And you see, handed his warrant card, and she just, oh yeah, just put it there, thanks very much, bye.
And I just call you up or something.
So I went back to the CID office where you were, and I said, you better escort me off and see. So I can remember being escorted off the premises, like a...
It's surreal, isn't it?
Yeah. But what made, it was, you finish your service and there's 26, 27 years there, working with some great guys like yourself and, some lovely people. And you don't realise at the time, it's afterwards when you think, bloody hell, that were brilliant.
Yeah.
Didn't we have some good laughs? But you're not, as soon as that back door clicked shut, I thought, freaking hell, that's it. We did meet afterwards, went to Costa for a coffee, but the back door clicked shut, and I thought, I can't even go back in for a pee now.
But it's literally closing one chapter, a huge chapter in your life, isn't it?
Because wherever you go, you're a police officer.
Yeah.
And, that's your sort of persona.
It's your identity as well,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's not like a job where I've done all sorts of jobs since, where you go looking for a sandwich delivery firm and say, oh, I'm leaving, I've had enough. You leave, and that's it. But with that, it's not just a job, it's a way of life, and it's not
proper
just
entwined and embedded, aren't you? It's hard to kind of break free from it.
Oh, yeah. Even now, I've been finished 8.5, 9 years, and I pop into Ebden Bridge for a pint of milk and a loaf of bread or something. And when I'm coming out the Oasis shop, oh, Mike, can I just tell you about this? I said, look, I don't like police anymore. Yeah, but you still got links, haven't you? And I thought, well, no, I haven't.
Yeah,
I did for
mad, isn't it?
Yeah, I did for the first 3 months. I'd seen the car drive past. Oh, that's John. Oh, that's Chris. And but now
fast changing, isn't it, brother? Fast changing.
Yeah. Even the simple thing of driving home in your own car. Police car went past. They obviously recognised the car and who were in it, and I just waved. But now they're just faces, and you just
for sure.
You're very, very sort of quickly. I wouldn't say forgotten, but. Probably forgotten. You probably after a year or so, because they knew the turnover staff and everything, you're not known. So it's just another job.
It's weird. Like sometimes, I don't really think about the job, but every now and then when I'm driving, I'll see a police van. I'm thinking, I used to drive one of them.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's surreal. It's like it's a complete different life.
Yeah. Where I'm working now, I work on a security team.
Now, brother, before we go into that, we say you retired, but you didn't retire. You left one job because then I wanted to know. I said, what's Martin doing? And I think at one stage you had like 2 or 3 different jobs going on, didn't you? Yeah. So you would tell us what you would do.
Right. The September before I left, I left in the December, I got permission to work at an estate agent's at weekends, doing viewings.
Yeah.
I turned up on a Saturday morning, I had a pack of viewings of houses, and they were all local stuff. Yeah. So I went round and did that.
So your role wasn't to sell the house, it was just for people to have a look around okay.
Which were brilliant. Ebden Bridge, it's just prices there, just treble, it's ridiculous. You escorted me off the premises on the Friday. I worked the Saturday, Sunday at the estate agents. The Monday, I started working at a funeral firm.
I remember, brother. Listen, I remember. I think it was the one on in Park Ward or something. And I'm like, I had to double check. with coffee.
Yeah. Oh God, I did that. Basically, I kept my white shirts and my black tie.
Yeah.
And I just sort of marched into that job. And I was carrying coffins and doing all the formal stuff and all the rest, and driving the limos.
Yeah.
And I did that, but it was just sort of as and when. It wasn't a permanent job. And then I worked. I think it was a friend of yours who had a sandwich company.
Right.
And basically, I was working for him during the day. I think it was Tuesday. Was it Tuesdays and Thursdays? And that were like 3 jobs going at once there.
Didn't you do something with, was it BMW? There was something you did there, didn't there?
A job came up on the Indeed website, and I thought, well, that sounds all right, I'll have a go at that. Anyway, I applied. I went for an interview, and this chap at Sandal BMW said, look, so we've had over 350 people that's applied for this, and you're down, we've whittled everything down, and you're down to the last 6.
Okay.
And I said, all right, what's job entails? And it was basically picking customers' cars up and delivering them, and
and luxury cars, nice cars, right?
Yeah, beautiful, top of the range things. I went home. And then I had a phone call from the chap who the interview. He said, "Oh, mate, so I'm really, really sorry. We'd got you down to the last 2."
Okay.
He said, "But we've given it to this other chap who's been doing the job before."
Fair enough.
I said, "Oh, fair enough." I said, "But you've got my details there. If you do need me, just give me a ring." I mean, it'd have been nice. And I thought, well, so what? Yeah. Anyway, I just left it, and then. The next day, the phone went again, and I'd stored the number, and I looked, and I thought, oh, it's ringing me back. I bet it's phoned me by mistake. Hello, it's Martin. Yeah. You're not going to believe this, but the lad who's we offered the job to has decided not to take it. So if you want it, the job's yours. So I ended up working at BMW for 3 years, driving
some nice cars, wasn't it?
Lovely, really nice, really nice. I went all over the place. I was catching trains down to London to pick BMWs up, and Bedford. I went all over the place.
Those are the sort of jobs you want after leaving police, where you don't want any stress.
Oh, no.
Just go pick up the keys, drop them off.
One of the funniest jobs I had there, I worked on a Friday, and at lunchtime, somebody from the service department said, "Look, Mike, can you do us a favour?" I said, "Yeah, what is it, sir?" Can you go and pick a part up at Leon C?
Okay.
In, I think it's Essex. Anyway, I said, "Oh, yeah." He said, "We need this part for tomorrow." He said, we want it there. The technician's coming in at 6 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
And he needs this part because the customer's going to come in at 9 Saturday morning.
Okay, so they had a tight window.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He said, "We could have done it by courier, but
there's a chance that it might,
yeah. You've got a BMW 3 Series Sport there. Go down, and it was a beautiful day. I just set off, and I thought, oh, this is amazing. Yeah. And I phoned Sarah. She says, "Where are you?" I said, "Oh, I'm just on my way down to Essex," sort of thing. And I'm making good time to hit the M25, and it just ground to a halt. And I thought, oh, good grief. Anyway, the chap from the garage who I got to pick the part up from, excuse me, he said, "Oh, Martin," he said, "we're having to close, but we'll leave the part under a cone outside main entrance." So, all right. Anyway, I pulled up.
You're looking around.
There, this bloody cone outside. I went, picked it up, and it just looked like an envelope. I thought, is this a bloody joke? Is somebody filming me? I picked it up, felt it. Oh, well, it must mean something to somebody. And I waved at the cleaner who was vacuuming up inside, jumped back in BMW and set off back to Halifax, back to Huddersfield. And it took ages and ages. There were hold-ups on motorways and all the rest. And it was about midnight by the time I got back to Huddersfield, and there was a security guy there. I said, "Look, this is the part that's needed." "Oh, yeah, thanks very much. They said they were going to be, you're going to be coming anyway." So I parked the BMW up, jumped in my own car and drove home. Anyway, the following, I think it was a Thursday, I was back at work at BMW, And I said to this service, he said, "Oh, thanks a lot, Mike, for that." He said, "It was absolutely brilliant. It worked a treat, and the customer's so chuffed that he's got his car back." I said, "Just as a matter of interest, I said, what was it?" He says, "It were a cable tie." I said, "What?" I said, "I could have got a bloody B&Q and got you sending me all the way down to Essex to get a cable tie."
No.
He said, "Yeah, but what it is, if we'd have fitted a non-BMW part," he said, "and it had snapped or whatever, the
warranty wouldn't be valid.
Would have been invalid."
That is crazy, isn't it?
And I'd have sued them for. He said, "But thanks very much for going all the way down."
You're like, "Oh, it's my pleasure."
Brilliant. Oh dear.
Well, listen, go on, brother.
What did I do after BMW? I went into when I left the police. I said, "There's no way on earth I'm going to do security. I've done security before." In the bad old days when it was sort of unregulated. I thought, "Oh, I'm not doing that." And for the first few years out, I thought, but it's a bit more professionalised now. You've got to do a course. You've got to do, it's all regulated and stuff. So I thought, well, I might as well give that a whirl. And basically, I'm working now for a team down at Dean Clough in Halifax. Start at 9, finish at 4, Monday to Thursday.
You enjoy it, don't you, brother?
Oh, yeah.
Well, talking about security, because I used to work before in security, before I joined police, I thought, nah, I don't want to do it. But then same for me. 2 days a week, I work at a casino. Really nice, pleasant, get it done, and then it just helps, doesn't it? Just helps, tops everything up.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Martin, it's been emotional. So thank you so much for taking time and sharing your stories with us. And hopefully we'll catch up over the next couple of months and we'll hopefully see you soon. Martin, in your words, bloody hell.